Hello! Hello! Hello. Hello, I'm Weston. Weston Lee Ball, or Lava Submersible. I'm an actor, a musician, an artist, and your Chaos Goblin that will be drawing this thing today. Pardon me. I assure you I'm fine. This is an interesting little image. I really like this composition, and actually, that's me! I'm an actor, as I literally just said. And this is from a short that I helped write and was put out, I think, in 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. I was working with a good friend of mine, Sean Pettis. I definitely recommend go and search up Sean Pettis. You'll probably be directed to his site that will have his link tree attached. You can go check out his Vimeo and videos that you might have up everywhere on the internet. Incredibly talented. It's just been traveling around with a good friend of his, working on getting views for their and hustling their shorts. It's a really cool thing. I definitely check out Sean Pettis wherever you can. Instagram. He's on as I said, Vimeo, and really great friend, great person. And this was such a treasure to work on. It was just, it was right before the thing happened, the big thing in early 2020 that affected everyone's lives. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the thing, so I'm just gonna casually breeze by it. So yeah, it was all before that happened. Me and my partner were in town where Sean lives, and I hit him up right before we got there. I'd worked with Sean before, and he's just such a pleasure to work with, and was more than happy to accommodate making a little short with me on very short notice. Right before I came in and visited, we shot this in a day, I think. Just a few hours, really. I think it was over the course of maybe 2 days, but I'm pretty sure we shot it all in one day, basically almost in chronological order, if I'm not mistaken. It was a really interesting experience, and it was a piece that I had kind of had in my notes app on my phone for a really long time. That was just like a couple of sentences, kind of almost like this. I think it was just like almost sounded like a ritual that this person was doing, and like it was a character in my head. I could kind of see this character doing it, but I didn't have anything else attached to that. So over the course of, I think, a week or so, me and Sean kind of workshopped this piece called Bringing Down the Sun. That is available on Sean's Vimeo, I think, as well on YouTube. You can search my name, Weston Lee Ball, or Sean's name, and Bringing Down the Sun, and it'll probably pop up on YouTube. And maybe even, is it possible to drop the link, Sam? In the chat?
Sure. What was it again? Sorry, I was doing some social media stuff.
Oh, appreciate you. It's no rush, but at some point, maybe during the stream, it should be. It's called Bringing Down the Sun.
Bringing Down the Sun. I will check that out.
But yeah, we kind of built the story around this ritual that was taking place. Kind of a dark time in my life, even before things kind of went sideways for the whole nation. I wouldn't say necessarily dark, just very difficult. It's a very challenging period, big changes, because I had literally just moved to Los Angeles, and from much smaller areas in Northern California. So it's a big challenge, a lot of big changes for me and my partner, and wow, yeah, it was a very powerful moment in my life, and trying to stay creative all the time. I had a regular keeping up, just like little ideas that would pop into my head on a notes app, and yeah, we kind of just built this little story about this wizard or mage or witch or whatever you might call it, and
I'm getting
doing this ritual.
Oops, sorry. I'm just getting a lot of results on Google in general. Is there somewhere better I should be searching?
Yeah, try searching it on YouTube. Yeah, try if it's not coming up. I mean, it's a pretty general title.
Yeah,
maybe try and throw my name or Sean Pettis in it. SeanPettis or Pettis. Oh, right, the film, yeah. So, yeah, we shot this real quick. There was a place we were staying at and a graveyard nearby, and between the two places, we kind of just made this little narrative work. Really proud of it. I really love the piece. And, yeah, if you, at some point during the stream, you'll probably see a link in the chat, and you can click that and go watch it at your leisure. Hopefully stick around for the rest of the chat, or the rest of the stream. But, yeah. It'll be available for you.
I'm trying.
And yeah, so this composition is just something I think is very lovely. It's a big wide shot, kind of this character walking through this natural archway, silhouetted. I mean, these are all vibes that I very much appreciate. So I kind of wanted to see what drawing it would look like. If I'm being honest, we just got back from a month-long break here at Nerdcrafty, and if I'm being real with you, I did not know what I was going to draw before we started. I was kind of scrambling. I've been trying to stay active, keep my body in motion. I just have found that it's really, really beneficial for my, in a psychological way for me, my mental health. It's great for my mental health to move my body in a way that makes sense to me. It's been an interesting kind of journey, I guess, and it's in many ways just starting. Like, I don't know, physical fitness, athletics, they were always very loaded subjects for me. Very often, as a kid, I wasn't allowed to do the things that I wanted to do. I really would have loved to do more dance, even like ballet. I think would have been really something that I would have loved as a kid. And I remember there was this little ballet school not too far from where my family would go to breakfast with my grandma regularly. And I just remember seeing that all the time. The building looked so cute, and it just seemed like such a cool thing to do. And I just remember it was such a gendered activity, ballet, that with how I was being treated at home and kind of how the general social vibe was at that point in history, where I grew up, well, I was going through enough of that, and I don't think I could have handled much more of it. So I participated. Luckily, one of my older sisters was in gymnastics when she was younger, and so I was able to participate in that for a little while. Was able to participate in martial arts for a very short amount of time. American kickboxing, I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe karate. But either way, nothing that really stuck very much with me. I was mostly, in a way, I wouldn't say forced would be kind of maybe not the right way to portray my parents' intentions. I think that I feel very forced into baseball because I've never liked baseball, and I know this about myself. But as young as I can remember, I was playing t-ball, and it wasn't like my dad was coaching the team or anything like that. So there was no real reason why I was doing it that I can recall. I had a miserable time with it, and I did enjoy basketball, but yeah, I was not an athletic kid. I mean, that's just facts. I did kind of like become a little bit more athletic as I got older, but I was one of those very uncoordinated children that you might have known. And yeah, athletics didn't really work for me until I got much older. And by the time I was good at athletic, or my body had essentially caught up, it wasn't like it was something I was interested in. Doing theater was so much more important to me. There was this kind of like choice I remember having to make. I was a freshman in high school. I'd gone out for basketball a bunch of times for the school team, and always got, at the best, I would be picked for like the secondary team that just like was supposed to come to the game and sit on the bench, and not actually like, not the second team, but like the secondary team. Like, if everybody got injured and like I wasn't even like, I didn't have a jersey that I wore to the games, I was just supposed to show up. Honestly, I feel like the coach was just taking pity on me, which was pretty nice. I mean, he's a young guy, but it was frustrating being benched like that for a sport that I, at that time especially, was really passionate about. Sure, that being passionate about that sport was very tied into being recognized as like trying to hide in plain sight from the people who I grew up with that, at the time would not have been the nicest to me if I told them who exactly it was that I was, and knew inside that I was. But I think a lot of queer people and many people with neurodivergence and things like that, end up needing to mask up, and marginalized people, we all end up masking in one way or the other to try and fit into a society that ultimately feels like very often it doesn't want us, doesn't care for our input, until it's socially beneficial for them. And yeah, for a long time I tried to just fit in and get along and pretend like I was, just another one of those. I was just like everybody else, and I don't recommend it. I'm still undoing that, all that damage, so I do not recommend it. But I totally understand it if that's where you're at, and that's where you need to stay for your own safety. Just know that it gets better. Oh geez, I got sidetracked. I had a story. So yeah, all these years of playing basketball, trying to play basketball, not making the team. I get to high school, it's freshman year. I've gone to the first 2 days of tryouts for basketball, and I'm just like, I know I'm not performing well, but the coach is also just like, why are you here? Like, that's his vibe, He's not like giving me any kind of encouragement. He's not giving me like, you're gonna make the team kind of vibes, So, there was like the third day of tryouts. I knew I probably wasn't gonna make the team. I'm sitting there in like homeroom, and I hear the announcement, because they had like written announcements the teacher in homeroom would read to the class to kind of tell what was going on in school. And I just remember the homeroom teacher I had telling the class that there was auditions for Princess and the Pea in the drama room at the same time that basketball tryouts were happening. And final bell came. I got all the way to the gym. I stood there at the door, held the handle in my hand. I turned around and I walked towards the drama room, and my life changed forever. true story. And drama gave me all the confidence that I didn't have, that athletics were supposed to have given me, but never came, because even as my body, I was getting adapted to it. My body was becoming a little bit more used to what athletics required, the kind of muscle memory and skill required and all that. I was completely losing interest, and the having to continue going through PE and stuff like that, kept me in great shape. And at a certain point, I was running like 4.5-minute miles and shit. Maybe not that fast. That sounds like really insane fast. But I was running really fast miles, and I was like great shape. My PE coach was like, the PE coach was also the track team coach, and was like trying to recruit me for the track team. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna play now. Princess and the P introduced me to a bunch of older people who've been in the drama department a long time, and fully just embraced me. Became, over the years, that some of the people that were closer to my age, I think I was the youngest in the production. I think I was the only freshman that year, and that the fairy tales were part of a student-led production we would do every year. So one of my classmates, a senior, as part of our drama curriculum, was directing this Princess and the Pea production. And so I was the youngest, but there was a sophomore and a few sophomores and a couple of juniors, a couple of seniors. So it was I learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot of things that weren't super helpful. But I was accepted. I didn't feel alone. Like, I had actually, right before I did all of this, I was in a little, I wouldn't even call it a fist fight, but it was a little scuffle with one of the people who had been my best friends all the way through elementary, or not elementary, but middle school. And it was this weird thing where I think it was a lot of just hormones. And we were trying to impress some girls, and he started wrestling a little too rough, and things got out of hand, and I embarrassed him, and we didn't talk again. So I was feeling really alone. It's funny, I actually ran into that person by chance at a campground like 15 years after I graduated. Amazing. Anyway, we actually had a great time together. At that point, we buried the hatchet. It was, just so you know, I'm not a monster. Anyway, so the drama department became, the people I was closest to. The drama teacher let us hang out in her classroom during break times, lunch, and we had a couple of breaks during the day. So I was just around a lot of older people for the first time, older kids who were going through similar stuff that I was going through at home that wasn't really able to talk about. And it was eye-opening, and it was the first real encounter I'd had with a community. We were all, in a way, kind of young adults trying to build artistic community. Over the course of my high school, we did coffee houses that were self-organized. I ended up being one of the people that got to direct. In my senior year, I did every play. I even did Grease, a play I absolutely despise. While midway through production and rehearsal for production, rather, I got kicked out of my family home, and was midway through the production, was sleeping on a good friend of mine's couch. Actually, Zach Toney, the DM for the Ironhearts. And that's when me and him got really close. I mean, we were in theater together, we did movies together and stuff like that. But you know how proximity breeds fondness and all that stuff. I mean, plenty of drama, but also plenty of really fun nights where we were both like, oh, I've never seen Seven Samurai. Let's go to the Blockbuster that was right down the street. Let's walk there and rent a bunch of movies we've never seen before and sit there and fall asleep to them. Yeah, and we needed that kind of community. It was a weird school. I think I've talked a lot about it. My past like that thing. I just tend to get on those vibes when I'm just like free associating while I'm drawing, I guess.
So you don't have to apologize. Oh,
yeah,
my
not.
mic is on today, so I think they can hear me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was.
No,
then
it's
I
okay.
will. I will stop ignoring you.
I was just
I wasn't trying to.
No, it's fine. I'm doing producer things.
Okay. Well, then, any luck with that that link?
Dude, no. I scoured all of YouTube. It might have been that they put it on private video, and I can't find it now.
You know what? Maybe. I'm almost positive. He might have actually taken this down, but it might be on his Instagram.
Oh, okay. So we can just plug the Insta.
Yeah, we can just plug the Insta.
All right. What's his Insta?
It's Sean Pettis.
Well, that's easy. And you said Pettis with one T?
Yeah, I'm so bad with word numbers. I've literally thought word numbers. So yeah. I think it's one T, but I could be very wrong.
All right, I'll figure this out. I'll just give both spellings with question marks.
If neither comes up, you could take mine and find me in the tag.
Oh, there you go.
In my my tag post.
Headphones just fell out.
Oh no.
It's because I haven't cleaned the office since we started break. I was enjoying
I don't blame you. Yeah, same. I did I almost did kind of like the opposite because we were doing because there was so much that we were doing during production. I'd kind of let a lot of things fall by the wayside. So I did a lot of cleaning up actually during break and getting my did a lot of things that had been kind of put off for a minute. I'm still I don't know that, and I'm just a procrastinator by nature, so it's in no way something I should put on the production schedule of Nerdcrafty. But yeah, no, definitely made a point to get a lot of that stuff done while I even had oral surgery.
Oh wow.
Got a tooth removed.
Nice.
Yeah, felt amazing.
Which one?
Right. I'm not a dentist, but on the left side of your teeth, on the top row, the
in the back or in the front?
the second behind your canine.
Okay, cool. I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah, I'm starting to look real punk rock. 2 missing teeth? Oh my god.
Now what you do
And
is you get the false teeth with the really interesting materials.
Oh, I've thought about it. I was like, yeah, no, I'm definitely getting a gold tooth and I can afford it.
I say go even crazier with hematite.
Hematite? I don't want none of that in my mouth. None. I'm scared of rocks.
You're scared of rocks?
Yeah, fear the rocks. They've existed longer than just about anything else on the planet.
I don't know if I'm afraid of them, but I certainly respect everything they've been through.
I fear them.
And someday
They're planning. They're plotting. Yeah, that's actually one of those things you just gotta look forward to it, you know. Sounds
either
great.
Gonna be a rock
really.
Or gonna be petrol, so things to look forward
to.
to.
I don't know. How do you feel about reincarnation?
I hope it's a thing, because I would like to do whatever, please.
I'm not even like a spiritual person. I'm a Satanist, so you know I have weird ideas about spirituality and faith and stuff like that.
Are you a proper Satanist?
By weird, I mean.
Know that.
Yeah. I got. Well, I wouldn't call me a proper Satanist. I don't really.
You don't go to the church.
I don't love the Church of Satan. I don't love the Satanic Temple. I think both have a lot of issues, and I think just the idea of Satanism could use a ton more refinement.
Yeah.
From what LaVey or even what's the new guy, Lucius or Lucian? I can't remember either. He's he's got
name, whatever it is.
Definitely not. But that's I'm not gonna sit here and criticize the dude. He seems like he has bad takes, but also doesn't. The Church of Satan does good things, or not the Church of Satan. They do not. The Satanic Temple. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. They're probably more fine than they have been in a lot of points in history. There's a lot more sketchy people that have been involved in the church just because it's been around longer, partly at least. But yeah, there's always been kind of like a grifter mentality behind the Church of Satan, even just like as LaVey wrote it, frankly.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, definitely some good ideas in there.
Absolutely.
But when you take the context of who wrote it, then it's like, ooh, that's a little ew.
Yeah, he was kind of a weirdo libertarian guy. But I can appreciate the work that he did, and how I interpret it and how I use it in my life. I you know me, I don't respect anyone's canon except for my own.
And that's really the only way you can do it. Like, live your life the way you see fit. Take the religion that you want, but leave the church out of it. You don't need the church. You just need yourself.
I really love the idea of belonging to a satanic church, but most of the people involved are so friggin' cringe. Did you see?
I don't. Image, not for the tenants.
In a lot of ways, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, I don't know. Did you watch Channel 5? Andrew Callahan's Man on the Street stuff?
No, I have not.
Well, it's marvelous work. Andrew is like a very interesting individual. He does a lot of really great interviews. A lot of the time, kind of letting people talk themselves into bad positions because they're coming with bad intentions. Mm-hmm. But he does a lot of really wonderful work. But he did this one that was maybe the gentle. I'm so bad. I should probably know more about what I'm allowed to do on here and what I'm not. But during the recent court decision that affected 50% or more of the population of the United States, and is an act of cruelty that was unexpected, I think, for a lot of...
The mean thing that they're doing to people with the uterus.
Precisely. And yeah, I think all I would say is I think a lot of people were surprised by this, and hopefully are moved to action by it. And so one of these protests that was happening, or it was a protest of a satanic temple event that was basically just like a drag show or a burlesque show in a rave kind of thing. Very, you could, Anyway, no judgment calls. But yeah, he did this, and there was a protest reaction to this event that was being thrown by a bunch of essentially just anti-abortion activists. I think because they were fundraising. My memory of the events is unclear at the moment, but it was unfortunate to watch it as a Satanist, because the Satanists, while in a lot of ways like have the obvious moral high ground, I can see, because of my own bias, like, yeah, you're right. I don't know why anyone's like, but like looking at it from, if I want to be that guy on a friggin' Twitch stream, the optics, the optics of it were really cringe. And frankly, there was a couple of moments where there was like this thrown together debate that happened between some of the activists, or the abortion, or the word, some of the activists that were against the Satanic Temple event. And one of the people, I think, running the event for the Satanists. Yeah. And he, like I said, like, I can see my own bias going, yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, and I understand that you're correct. You just suck at this, and you should have never entered it in a debate, because you're dumber. I am dumb. I am a dumb human being, and that's why I do not debate. I have no business in that field. It is not for me. And that's okay.
I think the opposite is true, Weston. I think you are too smart to debate. I think that you're so good at critically thinking that you're like, no, I already know that I can't win this argument, so I'm not even going to get into it.
That's very kind of you. But yeah, no, I have tried to do that stuff. It has been something that I have, but like, I would lose my patience so quickly with somebody who has studied rhetoric and has done debate school or done debate team and like has focused on that, because I'm an angry person who understands the world is bad. That's basically as deep as it gets for me. It's like,
man. Like, I am a person who understands what's going on in the world. I have ideas to fix it, but I'm so non-confrontational that I could never step up and argue about it. Like, I cry when I get in, like, verbal fights.
I mean, me too. That's super fair. It's stressful, and especially the way that conflict has typically been dealt with in our society in this country. We're supposed to be conflict averse. That's exactly what they want us to do. And by they, I mean, but it is stressful, and it's totally not something that I think like is, and in a way you're right, because I know it's not productive in a way that's like going to move policy forward most of the time. Like, I mean, it's just in a lot of the time, it's just ego stroking. Mm-hmm. I think there's some that I really do enjoy watching, because I am less informed on something than the person who is arguing in the debate. But I think that is a slippery slope in some cases, and how you get a lot of people. Yeah, Ben Shapiro owned that college student who didn't have any debate prepared, while I'm sitting here with talking points and years of lawyer rhetoric training. Like,
yeah, it's almost like there's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it's almost like it's intentional. Like, he couldn't win a debate if he tried against anyone with who has actually done the work to prepare for it, and is somebody who knows because you've seen it. I mean, there's many times Ben Shapiro. There was that. Oh man, I think it was a Fox News clip where he ends up arguing with someone who's a very conservative British man, because the very conservative British man ultimately asked him a question wrong, and Ben Shapiro has a meltdown. He's a sick baby. It's one of my favorite clips. It's delicious. When I'm feeling bad, I watch it.
It's nice to have things to go back to.
Yeah.
That's why I still let Facebook show me my memories.
Yeah, me too.
Just let me
Actually,
know how
there's a
much
bunch of
better
good ones
I'm doing
today.
now.
Right. A lot of the time, lately for me, it's just like, oh yeah, I did forget this happened. That was a really important and beautiful thing to me. Like, actually, I saw one of your posts that I reposted back, like, I don't know, years ago.
Oh, really?
You said something along the lines of, like, it's just cool seeing so many musicians that I know, or something like that, all putting out work and thriving or something like that. And I was just like, oh yeah, I remember when I made music.
Dude, like, when I posted that, everyone I knew was making some kind of music, either in a band or, like, electronic music.
Yeah, I miss it. I really want to get back into it. I know a couple people down here at this point that play music, but I feel like I've been telling people that for like years at this point. I've never, yeah, I think I'm just a little bit afraid of it. Like getting back into playing music because it's so consuming of your life and your time, and it takes so much dedication. And
sounds like you want a casual version.
Sort of. I mean, I think in a lot of ways I've changed quite a bit from the person who wanted to play, 3 to 6 shows a month and was just, drunk all the time. I like to think I've changed a lot. So it's, I just don't know if that's what I want. And I've thought a lot about, like, yeah, I just like making music. I don't want it to have like all this pressure, but I'm also somebody who loves performing, frankly loves attention. And yeah, it's something that has been a part of my life for most of my life. I mean, I've been going to shows, punk shows since like 2003. And I've been in punk bands since 2004 or 5. And, for most of my, other than the couple of years where I was focusing, quote unquote, on college, theater, it's kind of, music's been the thing that I spent the most time on. It's just, I think that period after where I started focusing more on acting again, something I really needed as well. It's just a different avenue for that performance bug that I have. But, that's at the same time I'm saying, I miss the other big part of my life that, that was also a big part of performing as well. So I don't know. It's something I think about. And I've talked to a couple of people about maybe starting a project here or there, but yeah, I haven't really followed up on a lot of that. So
well,
I think it's a fear.
To have you take a look at something because I have a proposal, which I'm not going to talk about here on stream because that one in particular might come to fruition at some point in the future. But I just want to put out there, if you ever wanted to make some like punk kid musical, I will definitely help collaborate on that.
Video, right? If it's your final thoughts, what you think? How'd this weekend go? I think people suck assholes.
Have you ever? Sorry, yeah, no, that sounds amazing. Have you watched any of Craig of the Creek?
I'm sorry, what?
Craig of the Creek.
Craig of the Creek. No, that does not sound familiar. I'm gonna write it down.
It's a Cartoon Network show, and it's incredible. It's one of my favorite shows out right now, and they're I think they might be done releasing episodes for right now, but I'm pretty sure it's going to continue making. They're going to continue making it. I don't think. This is hope. I'm pretty sure there were at least rumors of cancellation, if not the actual show did get canceled, but I haven't looked into it, mostly because they have been putting out episodes on HBO Max pretty steadily, so hopefully those were just rumors. But they work with it's like a show about kids that, like, this whole neighborhood of kids essentially that all hang out at this same creek every day after school or in the summer, and they kind of have like a whole, like, this whole organized community at this creek, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's very it's, in a way, it's very like radically subversive, almost on the lines of like agitprop, but it's so wholesome, and it's hard to really even say that it's that, you know. It's teaching really solid lessons, kind of in a way that, like, I fell in love with Steven Universe, because, well, here's the show that, you know, it's obviously not like telling people, you know, rise up or anything like that. It's also telling you that, you know, that might be something that inevitably, or that might be a possibility if you don't fight for your rights, defend your friends and your family and your community. You know, if you don't stick up to fascio weirdo goobers, you know, it's like, you know, these empowering messages, these messages that are fairly radical, but still, like, you know, Cartoon Network's going to put it out. It's great stuff. And their music, a lot of the time, is like basically like a lot of their scoring for the show is based around alternative music, punk and ska, specifically a lot of ska. And they work with, I don't know if it's often, but I know that Jeff Rosenthal, one of the people who's making a lot of modern punk music, is very supportive, like, member of the community. This dude has worked with him in the past to, like, and made some really just, like, it's one of the first shows I've ever seen where it's like, oh, this is like authentically punk music made from a perspective of somebody who's not just doing it commercially. Like somebody who's, you know, been in the scene, who's made punk music in a genuine way.
Real punk, not Hot Topic punk.
Yeah, or even like I've seen it in other cartoons, like especially when I was younger, like Rocket Power, where it's like, you know, it's like they'll try and do like punk music and it just sounds like the cheesiest garbage you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not even Rocket Power, but, you know, it's like, it's one of those things that was kind of tropey back then, where there were, because punk music was like, you know, Blink-182 was selling records, and My Chemical Romance and stuff like that. Everybody was, you know, for a minute their punk music was big money. So there was like plenty of it going on, and like even like Chips Ahoy commercials, you know. It was everywhere. Yeah. Like literally around that same time where they had that commercial, they did one where it was like, you know, I think it was a Ramones song. Oh yeah, it was Blitzkrieg Bop.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that one.
It made me so angry as a teenage punk that I don't think I'll ever forget it. I'm petty like that.
You know, I think at least to a point it's fair. I mean, it is punk, and the whole point is like to not conform and not sell out, and then you see it on a Ritz commercial.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, the thing is it's, no, that for sure is. It's definitely, it's just such a complicated, like, social phenomenon. I've been talking a lot about punk music and stuff like that. I've been playing Magic during break. I reconnected with some old buds, and we've been playing some Magic basically once a week. And it always ends up like being these 6 or 7 hour fucking conversations where I'm like talking about, like, you know, I'm deep diving into old stories from the punk scene in Reading and stuff like that. It's been really funny. Kind of like getting their reactions on it. But yeah, because it's just such a complicated topic. Like, even me, like I hear people who like have been doing punk music and have been in the scene for years talk about it, and a lot of the time I'm just like, I don't know if it's like such an individual experience. It's hard to like map one-to-one everyone's experience, unless I think in a lot of the time, unless you grew up in the same scene. Like people in the scene I grew up in, and we can have a conversation where it's like, yeah, I remember that one time where, and like I was talking in the meeting earlier how we don't, back in when I was a young punk in Reading, there wasn't like, we were all poor. There was nowhere to get like, the like studs or many patches, things like that. Like we had a Best Buy. We had, a ratty little local record store, quote unquote, that mostly sold Juggalo memorabilia.
Oh wow, interesting.
I think they were also a tattoo shop, but I don't really remember.
That is interesting. Says a lot about the demographic out there.
Yeah. I don't have the like modern Juggalo experience growing up. That was a very, very different experience than I had with a lot of the Juggalos I met growing up. These very progressive kind of portrayal of who Juggalos are.
I think
and like
only met two in my life, and they were very interesting people. But like at the end of the day, I'm like, I still don't understand why you're into this.
Oh no! I drew on. Oh no!
Oh no! Weston.
Oh, it's okay.
Your base.
I can't.
Your reference.
No, I can't go back at this point because.
No, it's too late.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Well,
happy
maybe
accident?
I can. I don't know. I don't think I want to sit here on stream and hit undo 6,000 times.
No,
so.
That's a lot of times.
All right. We'll just go back over this. Okay. That's what we'll do. What were we talking about? Punk scene in Reading. Yeah, we were talking about it in our meeting earlier. How the punk scene was very individual. Everyone kind of, just wore whatever they could, whatever they really basically just had, and basically just dressed like what felt comfortable, what felt cool, what felt like you, and a lot of the time with the constraint that, a lot of the time, you weren't going to get new clothes.
Thrift store punk.
So you couldn't you couldn't tear clothes in a lot of thrift store shopping, but like, geez, half my friends couldn't even afford thrift stores. We were, broke kids. It wasn't like we had allowance or anything like that. So it was like very much, just kind of wear what you have and make it your own. And it doesn't matter what you wear. You're here. You're supporting the venue. You're supporting the bands. You're gonna probably buy some merch. That was the scene. And we defended each other, and it was a scary. Reading was. I've said it many times. Reading is a scary place to live. And
have you ever driven through?
Yeah. Even that passing impression is not a good one. I know many people who have said similar things. So yeah, it's just it was important that we stick together, and yeah, it was one of those really formative experiences for me. And it was shocking moving to Sonoma County and having homophobic slurs used against me by people who were supposedly punks, just like me. It was unheard of back where I'd come from. It's very conservative.
Repressed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big thing.
I am a light-skinned person, like as far as like Filipinos go, and they still didn't want to cast me in anything except for like chorus and background parts.
Yep. And that's direct experience I've heard from so many different people of color, from queer folks. There's a very elitist kind of vibe going on in Sonoma County. for most things. It makes it really difficult for, like, and the frustrating thing is, that most of those people occasionally will be looking for people of color to be in a cast, and a lot of the time it's like going to be a very, I'm not going to send my friends your direction. They're going to get tokenized, and they're going to, there's going to be microaggressions thrown at them, if not some really weird and creepy stuff that's even more outwardly racist said to them during the course of. I've had. I mean, I don't want to out anybody, but I've had a bunch of weird experiences acting in Sonoma County.
Oh, me too, definitely. It's like I'm not sure what is making it happen anymore, because it seems like maybe at first it was the people casting the shows, but it gets to a point where, like, when they start wanting people that have ethnicity in their blood and maybe don't look like just everyone else on the stage, no one wants to audition for them because it's clear what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, if I'm being honest, that's a big part of why I left and came here, without any planning or any warning. Well, in a big way, and I would say mostly, it was because I knew the industry was here, and I had just done Donovan Reed. If you haven't seen it, it's all over the place. You can find it at Amazon, or just search Donovan Reed. But after I got that role, I was on a high, and I was like, yeah, no, it would definitely be smarter for me to not stay in Sonoma County, where because I had gotten another role right after Donovan Reed. Again, not going to out anybody, but I'd gotten this role, and we did a table read, and the table read was so shocking. The things that they were planning on doing in the script, in an unsafe way, in a way that could potentially hurt minors.
Oh gosh. And then I had a run-in with one of the other actors, and they were saying some really wild stuff online that made me very concerned about having to be in all of my scenes with that person. So I contacted the people in charge, and I said, I'm going to have to bow out very respectfully. And then the guy who's my roommate now posted on Instagram, like, days later, like, hey, I need a roommate. Anybody need a place to stay? Here's the rent. And I was like, that's cheaper than what I'm paying in Sonoma County. Wow. That's amazing that you found something like that.
Yeah. Truly. I mean, honestly, it's not extraordinary, considering how expensive Sonoma County has gotten. But at the same time, our rent is fairly inexpensive for Los Angeles. And it's been very nice because, obviously finding work as an actor who just got here has not been easy, especially during the panini.
Did you say panini?
Yeah, that's my
code word now.
Social media friendly.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I understand. Definitely, don't shade anybody on stream, but I might want to know some of the names of the people you're talking about later, just so I can cross-check and see if any of them are on my friends lists, and just make a mental note not to hire them.
Yeah. No, that person, I think I blocked them, they blocked me, I can't remember which way it happened, because eventually, like, they kept saying weird stuff online. I eventually was just like, hey man, are you sure you want to say that in public? Because that's weird, and you shouldn't, and you should feel bad about it. And we got into a little altercation on Facebook, which is my least favorite thing in the world, which was by and large a big reason why I quit. Yeah, it was very frustrating, and talking to other actors, especially people of color in that area, that's not a unique experience in any way.
No, yeah, I know it's not. when I was there, I thought I was passing so well that those rules weren't going to apply to me. Because I could see it happening to other people, and I just didn't understand why it was happening to me. I had to be fully removed from that area completely before I recognized what was going on.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, well, the thing that really keyed me into it early on was that I was tokenized for being a punk. I was like, man, if these people find out I'm Lebanese, I'm fucked. I'm gonna have to play the friggin' some really weird. I'll be the only Arab in, the Prince of Arabia or something.
Oh gosh, there was a show that they did at the JC where it had a bunch of characters, and then one guy was an Egyptologist, and he had one person who was supposed to be ethnic as an assistant because it was a period piece. I totally remember that being a thing, and they cast a white dude in the role because they couldn't get anyone ethnic to be in the puppet.
So weird, dude. I don't know. I'm really fortunate that I did work with the people that I did work with up there, and I don't want to say that everyone in Sonoma County is like this. Especially like Sean is so cool and works with a lot of really cool people. One of the people I worked with early on when I started getting back into acting for film and was trying to get cast in other people's movies was this young kid at the time. I think he was 16 or 17, but he was at the JC, I think. Maybe I'm overstating. I can't quite remember. We worked on this project while he was in the JC film program. It was just such a cool experience. He was so young, but he knew what he wanted, and the film was really fun to be in. It was my first time kind of stretching my legs in a while. And this person now, Miles, has a short that I'm pretty sure is in the long running for Oscar short nomination. Might have even continued. He's advanced quite quickly through it. The film is called Under the Lights. It's a very personal film to Miles. It's about his epilepsy. Miles Levin. Go and look him up by Facebook, Instagram, wherever, or look up Under the Lights. Follow their progress because they're crushing it, and it's just super cool to see. Miles is such a sweet dude, and this very personal story about epilepsy was obviously a story that he needed to tell, and I from what I've seen, it's just incredible. So yeah, in Miles, obviously doing some really important work there. This is not a story we see very often. It's about someone in high school who wants to go to a dance, but they have epilepsy, and high school dance, they're not going to turn off the lights for one kid. Kind of drawing directly from his own experience, I'm sure. But yeah, there's tons of people out there that are that have their stuff together and know what they're doing. It's just, in a lot of cases, it's the people who have been doing theater in Sonoma County that are older, boomers and some Gen Xers who just don't have haven't ever done the work to kind of unlearn a lot of the behaviors that they were taught. Most of them well-intentioned, but yeah, I've heard white people use all kinds of different accents to try and portray different people of color, and it's embarrassing. It makes me want to not necessarily associate myself with that area, and it's too bad because there are a lot of really great people there that I'm of course going to continue associating with, and I hope are able to kind of begin taking going through the process of kind of taking the stewardship of Sonoma County's theater departments and stuff like that. A lot of people closer to our age who are more progressive and understand that what's been going on in the the theater community in Sonoma County for decades. And yeah, change is super possible. Most people my age, our age, that talk about this stuff, it's something that they have been thinking about for a long time, and I think it's more than time. Most of us are in our 30s now. It's just I think I hope whatever they do, it's a very equitable situation for everyone, and that no one's getting, because we've already talked about, even in progressive circles in Sonoma County, there can be a lot of nepotism, elitism, people not wanting to work with some people because they don't feel like they're they don't want to be like what's the word? I don't know. I had trouble as a punk getting booked with other bands that weren't like punks, and even by some punks there, because it's such a cliquey kind of elitist scene, So I just, I hope whatever happens there, it's very, it works well for everyone and not just some.
I hope that whatever happens there, it's not skin deep, because that was the work they were doing when I left.
Yeah.
It was just surface stuff, and they really need to get to the heart of what their problem is, which is there's a gigantic lack of diversity by performers at the very least. I know there has been some attempt to do some stuff with, like, doing pieces by people of color, or doing pieces by people from the LGBTQIA. It's there was effort put in, but it's just kind of like right there at the top, and it's like they're doing it because they know they should be. They don't really know the deeper reason why they should.
Okay. Sorry to leave you hanging there. I really got to go to the bathroom.
No worries. I'll hold down the fort. Oh no, now what do I talk about? I can give a little update on Nerdcrafty, since I do the creative directing stuff for it. We do have Iron Hearts coming back on the 14th at 5:30 Pacific. So please come back for that. We also have a new show in the works, still in filming, but I'm trying to get the pilot episode out by the end of the summer. It's gonna be a lot more production than the stuff that you've seen in the live streams so far, just because I have been able to put some more time into it. And we should be getting some new Ignore the Bird coming back soon as well. So, yeah, lots of new exciting stuff. If there's anybody in chat, why don't you share what you've been doing over the past month? I think Weston's back.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back.
I feel better.
Okay, good.
Or in the words of Ben Mardigan, I feel better! Oh, yeah, we were talking... we were talking about Sonoma County Theater and the change being skin deep, and yeah, I can only second that. Did I leave after you? I left in 19.
So I got away 2006, 2007, and I moved out towards Sacramento to Grass Valley, and I stayed out there for a while, not really doing theater anything, just kind of like focusing on writing and other things. That's when I went and I got my visual communications degree. And then I moved a little bit closer to Sacramento, did some theater out there, and then after that I moved back. And that's when I started like really seeing things. Because I had worked with some great theaters out in Sacramento where it's like they don't care what color you are, they don't care what background you are. If you fit the part, you fit the part, you get the part.
Jeez, that's nice.
Yeah, it was so refreshing. I got leads out there. I got leading roles in musicals out in Sacramento. I could never have done that in Sonoma. And when I came back to Sonoma and I tried theater again, I didn't get those roles.
Right. Yeah, super disappointing. Mm-hmm. It's... and ultimately, it's them shooting themselves in the foot. There's so many talented people out there that don't necessarily. Whoa,
That's cool.
that don't necessarily. But they don't get casted things because they don't fit the cultural expectations that some of the people that run the theaters have, and some of the theaters. It's as I was saying, not everybody out there is like this, thankfully. But yeah, theater is a specifically very treacherous kind of area for anyone who's from a marginalized group. Because you end up, even a lot of the time unintentionally being tokenized, and that can be frustrating. But as I've been saying, there's a lot of really great people out there making art and trying to make changes. Just never give up, or admit defeat. That's been a big thing I've been working on
and
lately.
They won't let you
I get real.
The camera, get behind it.
Yeah, that's definitely one option. I had a terrible experience with that though. Oh man, did you ever hear about the movie that got deleted?
What?
Okay, yeah. This is
a Sonoma County.
What time is it? 4:36. Yeah. So, I kind of gave away the ending already. But I made.
It's okay, Tarantino it. In fact, tell me the middle part of the story.
Imagine.
Go back to the beginning.
So imagine you're at my friend Joe's open mic in 2012 or 13.
Okay.
I meet this kid. I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I don't care about outing these people in a lot of cases. I just don't want people to feel bad. And a lot of the time it's just completely unnecessary, and especially in this case is a non-important detail who this person is.
It was a dude.
So we became really good friends. We made some music together. This person helped me get sober when I was in a really bad state and really self-destructing. They were, a person who gave me an ultimatum and said, I can't do this. I love you. I don't want to watch you, die. And yeah, unfortunately, over the course of the friendship, me and this person started growing apart, I guess ideologically, you could say. And even still, we kept playing in our band, and we kept doing different projects together. And one day, he was over at my house, and we were talking, and we start talking about this movie, Kung Fury. Or Kung Fury, is that it?
I've heard of that.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
We were talking about that because it's like this silly, absurdist kind of like kung fu movie with werewolves in space and stuff, and kind of like Axe Cop, but for adults, explicitly. And yeah, we just were talking about like me and him were both like big movie fans and loved making movies, and they'd even helped me make a couple of movies at different points and before this. But mostly as an actor, I just needed someone to stand in and get beat up in a thing. Until we were chatting, and we decided we should do this. We should just make something. Just at least start the process, see how it goes. And me and Kat were already together at this point, so they were involved, and they were going to do costumes. We had all of this work that we did. We worked with another really great local production company in Sonoma County. It's called Eat the Fish. They worked with Boots Riley and Gabby Lala, really wonderful people. And they do a lot of puppetry and kind of prop stuff just really incredible work.
I know the name from.
Oh, okay.
Because I've heard of it.
Yeah. Good folks. Definitely recommend checking their stuff out. You can find them on Facebook and pretty sure on YouTube as well. You could watch the I can't remember the name of the song the crew did that they did the video for. But you could watch, I think most of Gabby Wallow's videos are collaborations with Eat the Fish. But yeah, they helped us make some props and even kind of like oversee some of the production stuff that we were doing, because it was the first time we had tried anything on this scale. Like, we were going ham with it. This person I was working with, a friend of mine, they were going through a big camera junkie phase. So they were trying to find the right camera to shoot this project on, and yeah, we were really hustling, like renting books at the library on how to do some things we didn't know how to do yet, like costume design or prop design or special effects stuff that, you know, we hadn't learned yet. We got super involved in this production. Probably spent over a year on it. I don't know how much money. Mostly mine. And yeah, we cast the movie. We had it like all kind of planned out and ready to go. Not like a full. We didn't have like a full written script, but we did have a bunch of outline kind of ideas, and worked with the actors to create the characters and the dialogue, the scenarios, so that we could kind of work our way through them without the necessity to write all the dialogue out. And frankly, the actors were great. Some people I'd worked with a bunch before, some people who'd never worked as an actor before in their lives. But everyone crushed it. They knocked it out of the park. And it was such a fun production. We shot a movie in a movie for this movie.
Nice.
We had all kinds of crazy costumes built. My bassist in my old band Boilermaker, Darren, was in it. He grew out a beard for over a year for this production, only so we could put Candy in it, because he was Candy Beard. That was his name. And
Well, all I needed to say was Candy Beard, and I'm sold on this.
Yeah, I was too. We shot, I don't even remember how many hours, but hours of footage for this movie. We shot the whole movie, other than one scene that was pretty integral to the plot, but also, you know, after we had, well, let me return to where I was going. So we shot this whole movie, right? You know, we worked with all these really talented people to get all these crazy props and costumes done. And my friend had all of the footage, right, on a hard drive. And they're the type of person who's hyper minimalist, to the point where they're always getting rid of stuff and things of that nature. And at a certain point, you know, I keep trying to get the footage so we can edit it, but he kept having conflicts of like availability, essentially. This is way more complicated, but I don't want to give anything away. You know, this person has a pretty private life, and I don't want anyone to make them feel worse than they already do as a person. So we kept having these issues with scheduling the shoot or the editing and things like that. And I was just like, I wanted to do it. I just wanted to make the movie. We had already shot everything we needed to shoot. I just wanted to put it together. I love editing, like, especially when it's something that I just made. It's something that I want to do immediately. I want to rewatch the moments. I want to relive all of those moments and rewatch the footage and kind of like figure out my next move. Where is it going to go? How am I going to edit this together? And especially when there's this big part that, you know, oh, well, we didn't shoot this, but we can make it work in the edit. I've made movies. I've made quarter to a half of a movie I've planned on making, and in the edit, I can save it. Because everything's improvised, and because nothing's like that, linear. Nothing necessarily needs to make sense in a movie I make most of the time. They're very arty and weird.
Yep.
That I could just make this work.
I've shot half a movie and then I'm like, well, now it's an art film.
Yeah. For me, they were gonna be that anyway, I've made movies work in the edit like that before. I was eager to get started on it, but kept having the scheduling issue, and then I hear from a mutual of ours that he's currently borrowing the hard drive that our movie's on, and he calls me up, he's asking me, oh, do you know how to do X, Y, or Z? I'm trying to save some of my old files so that I can make room for some more on Spencer's. Oh, I just said it.
We don't know last
anyway,
name. It's okay.
There's plenty of other people with that name.
It's a very common name.
So with that person's hard drive, and I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. You're gonna have to call that person and find out for yourself. And so I hear back from our mutual a few days later that I lent this my hard drive out, and I got it back. Our years of footage were gone. Evidently, there was some kind of formatting issue, and in trying to fix it, all of the footage got deleted. And because they're the type of person that's constantly getting rid of stuff, they didn't have any backups on the computer that we were editing on for the entirety of this movie. Several, at least months of some people's lives. It's a lot of time that people spent dedicated to this movie gone. And
That's heartbreaking.
I took it very personally.
That's heartbreaking. Well, just to think that the work and passion that was poured into it is just gone all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's happened before, but nothing like what I spent tons of money on this thing, hundreds of dollars, if not more. It's ridiculous. Period of my life, and it wasn't like, it was just gone. And I got people to believe in this movie that are that I didn't think I'm just saying that a lot of these people that I made this movie with were people that I care a lot about, and disappointing them like that after, in some cases, building our relationship, the first strong bonds, those relationships, through this movie, and that movie being gone, it felt different than losing a movie where I make out with one of my friends in high school. It's like, ha ha ha, we're making out, ha ha ha, that we're totally straight, ha ha ha. Somehow those movies don't go anywhere.
No, those stay on the internet for perpetuity.
Yeah. I think you can still find that if you're really interested. I don't recommend it. It's a bad movie. It's not going to win me any Oscars, that's for sure.
But it's nice to have those things to look back on to see, progress. I have, a bunch of old student films on my old YouTube page that are just sitting there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I go back and watch them and go, oh, that was good. I don't do animation anymore, so this is the pinnacle of my animating capability. That was good. Or I watch it and go, these were bad editing choices.
Aww. I'm sure if nothing else, they were artistic.
They are very artistic. I'll send you a couple of them, or I'll send you the link to go and check them out. I don't know if you have already. But one of the things that's up there is I just wanted to do a horror film to go from concept to premiere just during the month of October. Like,
Oh, I love
the
it.
goal was to make a horror movie in 31 days.
Ambitious, and I
Yeah.
adore it.
It turned out kind of artsy, more artsy than I thought, but we actually had, like, an idea of, like, oh, okay, this is, like, how the monster manifests, and this is what it does, and we had some really cool gags in it. It's just, now looking back at it, I'm like, this is not cohesive. It looks like maybe 4 different shorter movies shoved together about the same topic.
I mean, it's a movie. It's
a
made.
movie.
It's in
We
the
made
can.
It's done. It even had
I think
some
that's the
original
important
music
thing.
that one of the cast members just created for it because he was so excited about it.
Love that. That's my favorite thing.
We had so much fun
Yeah.
making it, and that was really what it was about, was the experience of trying to pull it all together in that amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love stuff like that. I don't know. It's like the same reason I love Kevin Smith movies. You know, it doesn't have to be good. It just has to feel something. It just has to make you feel something.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't split hairs on what it makes me feel. I'm glad that it's making me feel something.
Isn't it nice to feel?
Yeah, that's why I make art. You know, it's like I want to express how I'm feeling, and I want my friends to share how they're feeling. I want to get to know you in a way that's individual, unique to who you are, and tells me things that, you know, you don't necessarily have the ability to say all the time, or that's so deeply rooted in your subconscious that actually saying it might never happen. You know, art's a really beautiful thing like that. And I don't care about talent. Talent doesn't mean anything. You know, I want to see.
It's totally subjective. What some people look
Yeah.
at as talent is like ordinary to another person. But to that same like person that sees one thing as ordinary, something else is completely complicated and like something they'd never be able to do because they don't feel like they have the talent for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially where acting is concerned. You know, I was thinking about it, trying to make a TikTok, because I see a lot of people, like I follow this really wonderful intimacy coordinator on TikTok, and her work, their work is really just eye-opening. I'm learning so much about like kind of how, like, a part about film production that, you know, I think most, especially independent directors and filmmakers, are just like, yeah, I'm going to avoid that because that has a lot of complicated stuff going on. And, you know, I don't think she's necessarily, like, out to give indie directors, like, ideas on how to make better sex scenes. Although I don't think that's a bad idea. And I don't think that's not what she's doing. But they're just like very educational with how they talk about, like, how do I think this scene was done, or things of that nature. So yeah, I really like their stuff a lot. And like other people, like I follow another person who does sound mixing and sound design for film. Their stuff is really cool. Like you know, I think I've duetted them a couple of times. But I really like the way that they make content, talk about sound design. And so I was thinking about this, like, okay, so I'm an actor. How do I talk about this and get people interested, like, as a TikTok? Like, what do I say about acting that I think anybody would enjoy? And I was like, trying to think of, like, techniques or things that, you know, you're taught as a young actor to start doing. And I'm like, this is all stupid. these are just games you played when you were a kid, but with more rules. You know, like, acting is just playing pretend. It's the easiest art form to ever do. There's literally
heightened pretend.
Like, when you were a kid and you really believed that, like, you were Gambit or something while you were playing X-Men with your cousins or your schoolyard friends, Like, that's acting. That's it. That's all you're doing.
Way to shout out my favorite X-Men from X-Men 97.
Yeah, I mean, obvious hunk, slightly androgynous, devil red eyes. How can you not love Gambit? I mean, that's the best part about that cast is, I don't know, it's just such a wonderfully well-rounded bunch of hotties.
Some of it now,
like
looking back, is questionable, but like for the time 1997, I'm like, okay, well that totally would have flown back then. Because I think like one of the first 3 or 4 episodes, like there's a scene where I think Mystique tricks Gambit to go and like find Rogue and give her a kiss. And when he finds Rogue, she's like passed out asleep.
Yeah, she goes to Gambit and is like, meet me in this room in 5 minutes or something, and Gambit goes there and he's like, you're pretending to be asleep or something like that. Yeah. I'm sorry, I watched that show so many times. It's one of my favorite things, and a lot of the reasons I love it is because it's fairly progressive, especially for the time. It's a lot of it introductory philosophy.
Great, up to that point, it's like, let's make this really clear that this is not an okay thing to do.
This
is not true.
Exactly, yeah. That trope is luckily something I think we're mostly culturally past. And we're all better for it.
yeah, we don't need that one. On. Please don't kiss unconscious persons.
Yeah, even if they come up to you in another room and are like, come meet me in this room in X amount of time, and then they're there sleeping, still don't do it.
Yeah.
Wake them up first and make sure that they are still interested in kissing you. Because sometimes you're being tricked by Mystique, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes coffee says you're having tea in another room, and then when you get there, tea is cold. But don't just drink the cold tea. Heat the tea back up before you drink the tea.
Oh my god. So poetically and eloquently put, my friend.
The tea, the tea metaphor is my favorite one in explaining consent.
I've never heard it before. Where did you pick that up?
Oh my gosh, it's this, I will find the YouTube video and send it to you again, but it's this British person basically explaining consent via, like, tea. Like, so it goes over, like, so you can't just demand tea from your friend, first of all. And then, like, it goes into, okay, so even if you were offered tea, if you offer your friend tea and they say yes, between when you've made the tea and when the tea is ready for them to drink, if they have decided that they do not want tea anymore, you cannot force them to drink the tea.
I do love that, yeah. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It's such a beautiful, simple way of explaining it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Did I have the right layer on? Okay, I did.
Ooh. Not like before.
Yeah.
It's looking really cool. I like the silhouettes that are happening.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, like I was saying, it's just such a fun little like composition. I love the way that that Sean shot this movie. Sean shot this on just like a basic SLR camera, or not SLR. It was like I can't remember what it was called, but it was just this tiny little camera that looked like a camera from like the 80s.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure. No, it wasn't shot on film. It was digital. It was shot with these really interesting, funky lenses that Sean had. Yeah, some that were like kind of scuffed up or something like that. Anyway, they picked up light in this really wonderful way, as you can tell. That the whole film is kind of washed with this really interesting lighting.
It kind of has that like Vaseline on the lens effect.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of the close-ups and stuff like that. It like the whole thing is like conceptually it was a silent film, and no, yeah, it is not just conceptually, but it is actually a silent film.
It was conceptually and actually a silent film.
Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that first. I was just trying to sound smart, I think.
We gotta
But
get
yeah,
our big words in somewhere.
I love silent movies, especially like German expressionist horror stuff, Man Who Laughs, Caligari, Nosferatu, all that stuff. Like, some of my favorite movies. So I was definitely aping hard when we went to go make this movie, and I'm so stoked that Sean was on board with it. Like, it's one of the big reasons I like working with Sean. Is him and I have aesthetically a lot of similarity, and it's like what we want out of a film aesthetically. It's like something that we bonded over, and we've talked a lot about. It's so nice to work with somebody who like shares that kind of headspace, you know. Finding good collaborators is so tough. You've never done it before. Let me tell you. When you find a good collaborator, hold on to them tight. Treat them well. Be kind. Be patient. Be gentle. Because they are few and far between.
It is very hard to find people that you genuinely want to continue working with. I'm so glad that Nerdcrafty has been so good in that respect, where everyone that I've been working with here is just a joy to be around, and just has so much enthusiasm and passion that it's been just wonderful to work with everybody.
Yeah, it's a vibe up here, you know. We're especially because we all are, at least not all of us are all old friends, but there's so many like tested friendships in the group. Like, so many people have known each other for decades plus as part of the group, and that dynamic just carries right over into what we do. It's one of those things where it doesn't always work, but it's working, and I'm really lucky we have this kind of collective of weirdos to bounce ideas off of and work on projects with. I've in some of the off time I was talking to one of my roommate's collaborators who was talking about wanting to be part of a artist collective. Been trying to. They're out in Washington, trying to talk them, kind of like figure out like what their plans are and all that stuff. Because like I feel like at this point I've had a little experience and want to help a mutual out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like finding those collaborators is one of the big important things that I'm always going to emphasize in those kinds of conversations. So to vibe with each other and to like understand each other's boundaries and like have those just having great chemistry like that is so important to how communication will work in a long-term way. You can kind of predict like when people are starting to burn out if you've known them for a long time. You can start predicting like when people are you're better able to read your friends like when they're upset than you are, you know, someone you just met, you know. So those kinds of relationships can be so helpful in making things run smoothly and with love, which is how you're making art. Why aren't you doing it with love, right?
Yep. Even when you're doing it with anger, you should still be doing it with love.
Yeah. Anger and love are in many ways tied so strongly together, you know? You know, especially like, you know, when you like I got picked on a lot, and I learned, you know, as part of self-love for myself, you know, standing up for myself is a big part of understanding that, you know, I don't deserve to be treated like that. I love myself, and my autonomy is valued, and if you're not going to value that autonomy, I'm going to enforce it. And yeah, actually, it's funny. We're getting close to the end of the stream, and I started by talking a little bit about athletics and body positivity. And I don't know if I was getting there, but I don't know if I actually got there, but I was getting to talk about gender as well because, while during the break, I took some time and really focused on physical activity and trying to remember, like, what are the things that I really love and enjoy, and re-engaging with that part of myself in a way that's like, in a lot of ways, in one of the first times I've done this in a healthy way, because we have so many, just as people living in this society, we have so many different weird hangups about our bodies and about food, and just don't even get me started on that. We'll be here far longer than we have in this stream.
Diet for myself. I basically just eat whatever I want when I feel like it.
Yeah, I think that's a friggin' fabulous diet. Live your damn life.
Well for me, and I think part of it helps that I wear a corset almost daily, so it's really easy to not overeat.
And that'll help, yeah.
Yeah. Just, wear a belt
it.
and then eat what you want, and then when you're full, stop eating and you can take off the belt.
There you go. Yeah, and it's like that's exactly the point. You've got to do what works for you and your body, and we're taught so often, so frequently, so young, that this is the way to do it. This is the only right way. And if you're not eating this and that, like the whole. The whole food pyramid that we were supposed to be eating, using as our measurement for what we eat. Well, it's a scam. It's not like, if you look into its history, it was built by, or it was developed by the same lobbyists that wanted us to continue consuming mass amounts of sugar while they were cutting, like, well, the fad of a lot of snack foods was like no fat, fat was supposed to be bad. But and really, white sugar isn't necessarily as bad for you as I think a lot of people would want you to believe, but it is incredibly harmful to indigenous people, and it's really harmful to the land that continually gets used up to grow it. There's environmental harm that comes from it. I just, as far as health-wise, I think a lot of people overstate its incredible harm and all that stuff. But granted, it is an addictive substance that is a very powerful component in cooking and in eating, and overusing it, like overusing anything, is harmful. So yeah, I know that on a scale, sugar is quite a bit worse for you than like consuming consuming a heavy amount of sugar does a lot different things to you than consuming a same amount of fat. The health benefits aren't like obviously we were just saying, everything kind of in moderation, but like fearing different foods, like there's been all that so much cultural fear over so many different ingredients, like MSG and things like that. A lot of it comes from this very racist place.
Oh yeah, can I just clear up as an Asian person? MSG is only dangerous if you are allergic to it. If you are allergic to it. In most cases, the food you're already eating has MSG in it, and they just label it as something else.
Monosodium glutamate, yeah. It's the same thing. That monosodium glutamate, MSG. It's just, a lot of the time, if you see it on a bag of Fritos, you don't think I'm eating, you think you're, it's not the same thing, the same ingredient as MSG you would get in, like, all of those people who say they have, quote unquote, Chinese restaurant syndrome, end quote, because that has been proven to be a false, what's the word?
It's just wrong.
An effect you create with your an effect you create within your own head. They use the word for sugar pills.
Oh,
Placebo.
placebo.
It's a placebo. That whole concept has been debunked scientifically over and over. So, yeah, anyone trying to tell you that Chinese food makes them feel sick or whatever, they're not telling the truth, maybe even to themselves.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it might make some people feel sick because some people are allergic to MSG. Those people will typically get headaches from consuming it. But I feel like if you're getting sick from Chinese food, maybe it's because you don't have enough cruciferous vegetables in your diet, because there's a lot of cabbage in Chinese food. Maybe that's why you feel sick. So it might just be an examination of, like, what other things do you normally eat?
Sure, yeah. Honestly, especially if you go from, a diet that doesn't have a lot of fiber in it, and then all of a sudden you eat, a quarter pound of cabbage in your chow mein or something like that, you might experience some digestion discomfort. But that's your body. That's not you being sick because of a food.
That's you being sick
literally...
because you didn't eat healthy before.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Oh gosh, I got off on a tangent again, didn't I?
That's okay. We do that. Oh yeah. Moving my body. I was talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Either way.
We talked about diet. Now we gotta get to the exercise part.
Yeah. Oh right, because I was talking about self-defense. That was one of the first things that made sense to me as a physical activity. Like I told you, earlier on, I did gymnastics and martial arts when I was very young, but I was pulled out of it and ended up doing baseball and stuff like that instead. The sports I did not choose, ultimately. But when I was getting picked on in middle school, my dad bought me a punching bag and showed me how to throw a few combinations, gave me the basics behind how to throw a jab and overhands and crosses and uppercuts and things like that. Taught me a little bit about head movement, and basically was like, all right, so if any of those kids continue pushing you and putting you in trash cans or calling you names that make you feel like you're less than a person, you have my permission to just pop them. I recommend you hit them in the nose, because at your age, once kids see blood, the fight's over, and the less damage you do to these kids, the better. I think he was thinking forward, like, I don't want to get sued, Weston, don't. But that was, that was a big moment in my life, and learning how to move my body in that way made a lot of sense to me. And that's been a lot of what I'm doing lately, is just kind of re-engaging with that. I don't have a punching bag anymore, but I've been hanging a string from my makeshift camera stand, my phone's tripod, makeshifted out of a mic stand and a selfie stick. So I've been putting a little string in the part that holds the camera and putting it at its highest, and just using that as kind of like, okay, punch here, throw the combos, and getting used to throwing my hands again. And it's been like one of those things where it's been like making me think of not just like, the last thing on my mind is like a violent situation or having to defend myself in those moments. What I'm thinking about is who I am and where I've been, and how far I've come. What I'm thinking about is, have I always wanted these aspects of myself because of an inherent sense of masculinity or things like that? Or is it something that's more like drawn from your past of being abused? Is this part of that independence and learning to defend and your own autonomy. You know, it's bringing up things like, you know, was that formative experience really telling you that you were, I don't know, maybe that's a little too heavy, but yeah, especially for the end of the stream. But
yeah.
we'll talk about it next week, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But
Luckily,
either way,
I have my therapy on Thursday, so I'll be able to parse through what's going on in my head now.
fantastic. My therapist missed my last appointment,
Oh no.
so I have an email out to her, but I haven't heard back from her, so hopefully I hear back soon. But yeah, it's so funny with like the people who you're like depending on, because it's LA. I know that this woman who's working through Medi-Cal has probably got a gigantic list of clients that she's seeing regularly. And you know, I am practicing patience at the same time as all this stuff, because that's, you know, understanding this person's situation is a part of my healing process as well. But I want the damn appointment.
Maybe that's why doctors call them patients.
Yeah, that's
Just
it.
wait. No, it took
right,
forever
well,
to get my first therapy appointment, so I totally understand how that could be super frustrating.
Yeah, I'm super happy for you. That's like, I don't know. It made a huge difference for me. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's starting to, but it's still early stages. So it's still like kind of checking what's there, not so much the dealing with it part yet.
For sure. Yeah, you know, I'm sure that you've probably heard the phrase 1,000 times, but all part of the process, right?
Yeah. I wish it didn't involve so many tissues, that's all.
Oh, the tissues are good. The tissues, I don't know. I haven't cried in a session or two, and I'm thinking about making up problems just so I cry again in a session. Getting too healthy. I'm not having fun with it.
I'm having a crisis. I don't feel like I have any problems to cry about anymore.
No, my coping mechanisms are just stronger than they've been in the past. But yeah, no, it's definitely like, you know, it was a really good process for me when I was going through the early stages, because I was, you know, in a bad situation. But finally getting to like talk about like my childhood trauma and stuff like that, like it took a few sessions, like many sessions to get there. But yeah, I think those were really important sessions, and are a big reason why I have a much better relationship with my mom now than I've had probably ever before in my life.
That's good. My relationship with my parents is pretty good, but I haven't like talked to them about like all the therapy stuff that I've been going through yet. I just like years before I started therapy decided, you know what, they are who they are, and I either accept them as who they are or I don't, and then where am I? So it's just kind of like, well, they're just gonna be my parents, and these are the things that they do, and these are the things that they do that make me upset, and I'm just gonna have to deal with that and just keep recognizing that it's just this thing that they do.
Yeah, and they change, you know. My mom is a totally different person than she was when I was. I mean, even then, she's a different person than she was like 10 years ago. You know, 5 years ago. My mom, you know, she's getting up there in age, but she's still finding ways to redefine the kind of woman that she is. She's, you know, even when we didn't get along, I was always inspired by her. You know, like she's been through a lot, and the progress that she's made is because she is smart, she is strong, and she has gotten herself to a point where being afraid is something that she is able to move through, and find herself like taking on things that, you know, I know that she wouldn't have in the past. Like, you know, kicking people out of her theater company because they're homophobes and shit like that. you know, I can see her change and all the progress she's made. So if we can do it, our parents can do it.
Yes, it will just be
and a lot of the time
harder,
is like,
because they've had time to set in all of those mindsets.
yeah, I mean, my mom is in a large way, because all of us were so messed up. We've all, I think at this point, all of us have been to therapy. One of my siblings does some kind of behavioral therapy stuff, and so I think we've all been able to kind of be an influence to our mom, you know, at this point. Like, we're all older, you know, I'm the third born and I'm 35. So all of my siblings and I are pretty old, and our mom is, you know, like I said, getting up there. But yeah, I think she's been able to kind of like draw from our experiences and listen to us after we've been through therapy, and kind of like, you know, inevitably have that moment where we kind of just dump all of the stuff that happened from this year to this year on her, and she goes, yep, I totally get it, and we have that talk, you know. Sometimes, and never is it easy for her, but you know, that she listens is in itself a sign that she's changed.
Well, I'm glad that things are getting repaired there. Hopefully
Yeah, me
I
too.
eventually will be able to have that same conversation with my parents.
I believe.
It's
I
gonna take
believe.
time. I definitely want to make sure that I'm in the right headspace first, because otherwise I'm just gonna be a sloppy, tearful mess.
Yeah. I did the exact same thing. I waited till I was in a place where I could not. I would not. Because I cry a lot, but I also, you know, have been working on anger issues for most of my life. You know, I have pretty intense rage issues that I luckily don't is not as severe as it used to be. I've done a lot of work with this, and I had to make sure that when I had that conversation with my mom, that I didn't allow myself to get upset, to get angry, and to, at the same time as I was venting some very intense things, be understanding and patient and compassionate with her, as it's what I expected from her, you know. And like, even like I was saying, sometimes you gotta, even if they're your parent, you gotta show them how to do things, because they never learned it themselves. And it's not our responsibility. We shouldn't have to, but I don't mind doing it, because in my mom's case, I trust and believe that her intentions are good. She wants to do the right thing. She just got a lot of the same shitty lessons that most people her age did.
Yeah, that's something that I've come to terms with fairly recently in the past year. But you know, it's
Good for you.
I just have to be ready to have that conversation where I'm not feeling like I'm not allowed to have the feelings.
Yeah.
Because there's that
whole,
the whole like person with the uterus thing on top of it, and expectations in that sense. A lot to parse through.
Totally.
When you were born female.
Absolutely. A lot of different circumstances that, you know, I can only support you in your quest to get that that conversation, that feeling from your parents. That, you know, I'm really proud of you. You know, I know that it's not easy even getting to the point where you are right now, and always remember to check in and make sure that, you know, you recognize how far you've come, because god damn, dude, I forget sometimes. Like, you know, I need to remind myself too.
Thank you. I'm excited about, you know, spending the emotional work on myself first before I have to spend it on other people again. So.
Hell yeah.
Do emotional work for yourself, everybody. I think that's what we're saying.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to find a way to start wrapping things up, because I just saw the clock.
Yeah, we're getting there. So This was our Tuesday art stream where we talk about emotions. Thank you all for hanging out, for listening. It's been a really wonderful time hanging out with you today. I miss this. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to just sit here and do a little art and talk to you about my career as an actor and my personal life. Listen to my good buddy Samantha tell me all about their life. That was a very lovely stream, and I appreciate you all for hanging out. We'll be doing this again next week, same time, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time to 5:30 Pacific Standard Time.
I might be more absent during that because I am having a small outpatient procedure done, but I should be there for the stream. I just won't be talking as much.
So come on over next week, and at least I'll be there to say random things. Hopefully make you laugh a little bit, maybe make you cry a little bit. But whatever we do, it's going to be very arty, and I will be happy to be joined with your company.
Yep, come back for more feels and vibes.
The next thing we're doing is we'll have are we gonna have the Ignore the Bird? Oh no, we just dropped an Iron Hearts today. That's what we got next right now. We just dropped our kind of like pre-break finale episode as our first day back kind of treat for everyone. So go check it out on YouTube. It's the kind of big finale before we went on break. Zach put a lot of effort into that session, make it feel really like we are going to enter a new chapter. I've been waiting for it for about a month. I'm really excited to listen to it and just re-experience all. No sorries necessary. It's one of those things. I expected it. Vacation is priority. We all needed to do that, so yeah, no big. I'm glad that I'm gonna go basically watch it right now. Actually,
nice. It's over on the YouTube. If you weren't able to catch that stream live back in June, damn. It's up now. It doesn't have a thumbnail yet, but I'm gonna fix that really soon. So definitely go check that out. Nerdcrafty.com as well is under construction, but information is there. Weston, where can we find you outside of this stream?
Oh, well, I conveniently have always titled this this live stream Live with Lava Sub because that is where you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at lava_submersible. I do lots of silly stuff on TikTok. I mostly just post stories on Instagram at this point because I don't like that platform. You can also find some of my stuff on... I guess you can find me on Twitter, but you have to DM me for that information because I don't think I should say it here. It's adult material, so don't even ask if you're not 18 or older. And
Discord info up if I can.
Check the Discord info. I've made a lot of art in my life, so it's all over the internet if you look hard enough. But thank you so much for coming, and I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I will be seeing you next time on Live with Lava Sub.
Yep, we will see you soon. Bye-bye now.